Hey there, welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy Pros to the Samsung Galaxy Lives on Android. I'm on a journey to find the best possible Android buds I can for my Pixel 5, so I won't be using the buds with Samsung phones. If this comparison helps you, please consider dropping a like or a sub, helps me out a ton, eh? Anyways, let's jump in. First, let's look at the design. The Galaxy Pros are some good looking in-ear buds with a nice shiny finish, while the Galaxy Live buds are basically like shoving the Chicago bean in your ear. It's a really out there design, but I absolutely love that Samsung took a risk. As for comfort, I've got to be honest with you guys. After using the Buds Pro for a few days now, they're really not comfortable to wear for long. They're really thick, and when I twist them in place, they end up putting a lot of pressure on my ear. I can only wear them for a couple of hours. Now, everyone's got different ears, so they may be perfectly fine to you. I may just have the ears of a tiny child, I don't know, eh? I feel like I need to build up calluses to use them, which isn't ideal. The beans, on the other hand, feel super nice to me. After about 2 hours, I'll feel a little discomfort on the inner part of my ear, but overall they feel like they're just relaxing in my natural ear hammock. I will say, if your ears are any smaller than mine, these buds could be extremely uncomfortable for you. They can't get any smaller than their smallest fitting, and the way they wedge in your ear isn't very forgiving, but for me they feel great. Now let's talk about sound. The Buds Pro has an 11mm subwoofer and a 6.5mm tweeter. Samsung claims to have spent a lot of time making these buds sound great, and let me tell you, they sound amazing. I would say they're some of the best sounding buds I've ever used. The lows are nice and deep, the bass is boomy, vocals are crisp and clear, overall really impressive. As for the beans, they have one 12mm driver. My only regret with these buds sound-wise was putting them in after using the Galaxy Pros. After using the Pros, the crisp vocals and instruments that you hear sound really muffled on the beans. Don't get me wrong, they still sound good with really nice bass, but I find I have to crank the volume in order to get the vocals where I want them, and the EQ has to be on dynamic just to get them in the same ballpark as the Pros. The Pros are the clear winner to me in the sound department, eh? When it comes to ANC, this isn't really a fair comparison because of the way these earbuds handle sound differently. The Pros are in-ear buds that rely heavily on getting a good seal. Once you have that, the buds can control almost all the sound going into your ear. When noise cancellation is on, it does a really good job. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, pretty solid, eh? The ambient sound on these buds relies on its microphones to amplify higher frequency sounds, such as speech, while other sounds are toned down quite a bit. I find the low and medium settings sound best, while high and extremely high are pretty unrealistic. Overall, it's really freaking cool and works really well. One issue the ambient sound does have on the Pros is because it relies on the two microphones to work. If you have a toque on your head and it brushes up against it, it's going to sound like you're rubbing a microphone in your ear. It's pretty darn distracting. Now let's talk about the beans. These things have some of the weirdest ANC I've ever heard. At first I thought there's no way this can work because it doesn't have a good seal, but it does, but not like normal ANC. Because these are designed differently, they let air and audio pass through the buds even if you have ANC on, but only certain frequencies. It's super strange. There's practically no way to make these earbuds not hear people speaking, so if that's what you're looking for, this is a hard pass. But if it is, these are great. With ANC on, it will drastically reduce lower frequencies. For example, in our house, we have a super loud AC unit. It practically screams in our living room when it's on. I turned on the ANC of the buds, and the AC sounded more like a light breeze than its normal tornado. It was actually really impressive. Plus, I was able to talk to the missus like normal, and she sounded natural because she wasn't being amplified by a microphone, like on the Pros. Which means they also pass the toque test. Call quality on both these buds is really good. This is what the Galaxy Pros sound like outside, and this is what the beans sound like outside. I'd say the Pros win slightly, but they're both really nice. The touch controls in these buds are fine. You tap once to pause, double tap to play the next track or to answer and end calls, and triple tap to play the previous track. You can also customize the long press on each bud, so you can have the left or right bud activate noise cancellation or ambient sound, voice command, or open Spotify. You can also make the long press adjust volume, but you lose out on all the other long press features if you do that. I found that the Pro buds would register touches easily, while the touch registration on the Beans was hit or miss. I think the touch area on the Beans is a lot smaller than the Pros, so I found myself tapping all over the place trying to activate it. Neither of the buds has a swipe feature for volume, so they're both just okay for touch controls. The battery on these buds are basically the same, You're looking at around 5 hours of power if you're using ANC on both, 8 hours without, and an additional 13 to 20 hours of more charge in the case. Not too shabby. To set up these buds for the first time, you're going to want to download the Samsung Wearables app. Once you have that, you just select the buds you want to connect to and it should find them right away. With the Buds Pro on the Pixel 5, I'm able to see most of the settings you would see on Samsung phones, but we do lose out on low latency gaming mode, 360 audio, and Dolby sound. Also, we can't pull up the Google Assistant just by saying the magic words like you can with Bixby. And even though the read notifications out loud option is selected, I can't get it to read out anything. Calls, texts, reminders, nothing. Possibly a user error, so if you've got a way to make it work, let me know in the comments. The Pros also have this feature that will lower the volume and turn ANC off whenever you're talking. The problem is it activates way too much for me, so I just leave it off. As for the Beans, you can't do too much in the app. Basically just change the EQ settings. In the Lab tab, you can turn on ambient sound, but it really didn't sound much different than just turning off ANC. It's super slight. As for latency with the buds, the Pros were landing at around 150 milliseconds, while the Galaxy Lives were closer to 500 milliseconds. Without the gaming mode that Samsung phones have, I would steer clear of using the Beans for gaming. So which one of these buds should you buy? Well, it really depends on a few things, One of the biggest hurdles to figure out is comfort. These buds are not made for small ears. If that's not an issue for you, then both buds are great, but not perfect. If you value pristine audio and aren't bothered by the suction cup feel you get from in-ear buds, the Galaxy Pros are a wonderful choice and their ambient mode is fantastic, as long as you're not wearing a toque. Plus, their noise cancellation will let you tune out almost everything, and they're IPX7, so they could survive a dunk in the water or a drop in the snow. If you'd rather hear your surroundings, people talking, and hate the suction cup feel of in-ear buds, the Beans are fantastic. They still sound great, and you can chomp on some jerky without feeling like someone's got a plunger on your ears. Also, the noise cancelling really does tune out some annoying noises, allowing you to focus on important things like people talking instead. The Lives sadly only have an IPX2 water resistance rating though, so you do have to be a little more careful around liquids. I'm personally leaning towards the Pros, but that's just because they sound wonderful. But I don't think either is exactly what I'm looking for. The Android experience is lacking on both, so I think my journey for the best Android earbuds continues. Honestly, I'll probably keep the Pros until I find something better. If this review's helped you in any way, please consider dropping a like and a sub. Helps me out a ton, If not, I still hope you have a great day and take care.